Hey guys, C.L. Kidden here from Fiction Atlas Press, bringing you another monthly marketing tip. Today I want to talk about troubleshooting your newsletter to ensure that it reaches as many inboxes as possible. If you've watched any of my previous tips, you know that I'm just a little obsessed when it comes to crafting newsletters. I honestly believe that a well-crafted newsletter is the best marketing tool an author can have. But if no one receives the newsletter that you've been painstakingly perfecting, it kind of defeats the purpose, right? So I'm going to tell you about a tool that I use every single time that I send a newsletter, whether that be my own or for a client. The tool is called Mail Tester, and it is absolutely free. And let me show you how it works and all the things that it checks out. Okay, so here we are at MailerLite. That's the EMS that I use. I'm on MailerLite Classic. There is a new updated version that you might be using, or you might be using some other thing like MailChimp or SendFox. But regardless of what EMS that you are using, there is always a way to send a test email, and that's what we're going to be doing. This is how we're going to see how our email is going to be sent to our recipients and how likely it is that that email is going to reach the inbox and not spam. Of course, you want to have already crafted your email with all the tips that I've given you before about making it valuable to your readers. So once we get to this page where we're about to send, we want to go to Send Test Email. So I'm going to click that right now. This is an old email in here from a previous mailer test, so I'm just going to delete it. Then we're going to go to mailtester.com. It's mail-tester.com. And when you get here, there will be a randomly generated little email here that you can use. And every time that you refresh this, it's going to have a different little test email. So you're going to come over here and you're going to click this button, and it's going to copy this to your clipboard. You're then going to go back to MailerLite or whatever EMS that you're using, paste that email that it gave you, and hit send. So we're going to wait for that to send. It is now sent. We're going to go back over here to Mail Tester, and we're going to go and check our score. And I do this for every single email I send. Anytime I'm sending an email, I always do this before I send out to my recipients. So we got a 10/10. That means we sent a perfect email, which is great. But let me show you some of the things that it tested. So if we click here, we can view our message. You can view an HTML version that shows what most people will see if they've got HTML turned on. You can see it in mobile views by clicking these different buttons. If you go down here, this is without images, so if somebody doesn't have images on, that's what they're going to see. Here's a text version. If it's a text version, usually it'll show something like this. Your email software couldn't read it, blah, 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 blah. Here's the source. These are things you don't really need to concern yourself with unless you're just very, very knowledgeable about your email. I usually mostly just check the regular HTML version. And you can click on anything in here and it'll take you to your forms or whatever content. For me, it's my Black Friday form because this was one of my Fiction Atlas ones. But if you had links to your books or whatever, you can click in here and test all of your links. But luckily down here, it has actually already tested them for you. See, it says there's no broken links. If there are broken links, it will show them down here. And so then you can go in, find them, and you can change them. Go back and edit your email so that those links will not be broken. It'll show you if you are blocklisted by anyone. We are not blocklisted by anyone, which is great. This right here, this is a message I want to show you guys. Your message does not contain a list unsubscribe header. My list actually does. All of them on MailerLite has it at the beginning, but for some reason, Mail Tester never actually finds that for some reason. So this is just a common error. You can disregard this as long as you know that you have an unsubscribe links in your email. This will tell you if there's any short links. This will tell you that your content is safe. All your images have an alt attribute. This is very important. I think it's something that a lot of people, especially if they're not disabled, they don't really take into account, I guess. But every time you put an image inside of your email, you need to have an attribute. So what this does is it tells someone who is blind or someone with low visibility or someone who's using a screen reader for whatever reason what your image is actually of, why it's there. It gives them the information that they cannot see with their eyes, and it makes your emails so much more accessible for everyone, which is what you want. You're properly authenticated. A lot of you had to probably worry about DMARC earlier this year when Yahoo did their new regulations and everybody was kind of scrambling. I think it was in February to get that done. So hopefully you have got a valid DKIM signature. You've passed the DMARC test. Your sending domain is actually a domain and not something like Gmail. These are things that you need to have done correctly so that you are landing inside someone's inbox and not going directly to spam or just being undeliverable, period. Right here, you've got a spam assassin score. A score below -5 is considered spam. So I'm doing pretty well on that. My signature is valid. All my DKIM's valid. Basically, you just want to make sure that you've got a green check mark. The basics of this, especially if you're not really technical, is that you want a check mark on all of these. And you want it to be green. This one will never be green just because of this list unsubscribe header for me. But if we look at our score, we got a 10 out of 10. You want to have at least an 8 out of 10 before you send. You want to keep working on it until you get an 8 out of 10. You can do Mail Tester 3 times a day for free. You can also pay, I think it's £5. Pay £5 and I think you can get 25 authentications. But there's a couple other ones that you can do if you needed to test it more often. I never really have to do that. Usually the 3 times a day thing is just perfect for me. You can also share your results down here by clicking this and sharing that link. This is another one that I want to talk about. The weight of the HTML version of your message is, and then I'll tell you how much right here, 86 KB, which is actually really good. One of the best ways to make sure that this number is low is to make sure that all of the images that you are using inside of your newsletter have been optimized. I usually use tiny PNG. The more images you use, the higher the HTML version of your message is going to be. It takes up more room. You want to keep this number under 102 kilobytes. If your message is over 102 kilobytes, places like Gmail are going to truncate your message, which means they're going to clip it. So when it goes to the inbox, someone's going to have to click at the very bottom of that message to see the full email. All your content is going to be cut off. So keep that in mind. It's another thing that you really want to look at when you're using Mail Tester. Let me show you guys Tiny PNG really quick, because I do think that's a very important tool to have so that you can shrink those images, and it will really help you with your overall deliverability because your images are smaller and therefore your overall kilobytes of the data that you're sending are smaller, less likely to be truncated, like I said. All you have to do is drop your images in here. You can click this or you can drop them, drag them and drop them. I'm going to click it and I'm going to hit open. And you can see right there, it's optimizing my images. And you can click this to download all your images and it'll put it in a zip file, or you can click one by one beside of it and it will turn it into a JPEG for you. And see, this went from 236 KB down to 198, which is a savings of 16%. If you had something that was a lot more KB, let me see if I can find something that's a very large file size here. Here we go. This was a little thing that I made in Canva for my kids for Christmas. This was 376 KB. That's pretty big. Compared to this, which is 108, and that shrunk it down minus 71%. I'm going to open it. Look, it looks great, right? This is actually a very large representation of it. Let me make it smaller, and you can see that the quality is great. It hasn't really done anything to the quality of this, but it has optimized it so that you can use it. And wasn't it really cute? But let's go back, and yeah, this is Mail Tester. It is a tool that I use every single time that I send a newsletter. Okay, that's my tip for this month. I hope it helps you craft a better newsletter that reaches more of your readers. As always, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have about today's tip or marketing in general. You can email me at info@fiction-atlas.com with your questions, or check out my websites listed below. And I hope that you have a lovely month, and I'll see you next time. Bye!